Let's talk about color. What is it, really? To get to the bottom of that question, we're going to take a pretty wild journey. And our guide isn't going to be a physicist or a philosopher. Nope. It's going to be one of the world's tiniest and, frankly, most amazing predators. Okay, let's just dive right in. I'm about to tell you something that might sound a little crazy. You are not looking at a yellow ball. I know, it looks yellow, but the screen you're watching this on right now is physically incapable of making the color yellow. So what's the trick? Well, your screen only has little tiny lights for red, green, and blue. To make you think you're seeing yellow, it blasts a very specific recipe of red and green light into your eyes. And you know what? Your eyes do something similar. They have cells that are sensitive to red, green, and blue. When the red and green ones get lit up in just the right way, your brain just fills in the blank and goes, yep, that's yellow. It's a fantastic illusion our tech has learned to exploit. This whole illusion, this little technological sleight of hand, it actually forces us to ask a much, much bigger question. If the yellow you see on a screen isn't really there, then what is color actually? Is it a real thing out there in the world, or is it something that only happens inside our heads? And this isn't some newfangled question, believe me. This is an ancient debate. It's a philosophical heavyweight match that's been going on for centuries, all about the gap between the world as it is and the world as we see it. So, in one corner, you've got Aristotle. He was convinced that color is a real, physical part of an object. To him, that ball is yellow. Simple as that. But then, in the other corner, you have Galileo, who said, nope, color isn't in the ball at all. It's a sensation, a feeling, created entirely by the mind of whoever's looking at it. To figure out who's closer to the truth, well, we need to get out of our own heads. And that is where our guide comes in. So let's meet the jumping spider. This tiny creature sees the world in such an alien way, it might just have the answer to this whole puzzle. Now, forget any image you have of a spider just sitting around in a web. This quote nails it. Think of them as tiny eight-legged tigers. They are active, intelligent hunters, and their entire world is built around their unbelievable sense of sight. And these little tigers are everywhere. Seriously, there are over 6,000 known species. They hunt during the day, and they are so successful they can take down prey 2 or 3 times their own size. And their success story is all about their eyes. Okay, their visual system is nothing like ours. It's really 2 systems in one. First, imagine having a 360-degree black and white motion detector. That's what most of their eyes do. But then, they have these 2 huge eyes in the front that are like tiny high-resolution telescopes. When something moves, they point those telescopes at it and literally scan back and forth, painting a little patch of high-res color onto their gray world. It is a completely different way of experiencing reality. But here's where it gets even stranger, if you can believe it. Not all jumping spiders are painting with the same box of crayons. Evolution has been running some wild experiments with their vision, again and again. So, for a little context, most spiders, kind of like dogs, are dichromats. They see the world mostly in shades of green and ultraviolet. We humans, we're trichromats. We added red to that mix. But some of these jumping spiders, they're tetrachromats, like birds. They have 4 color receptors, meaning they see colors that we literally cannot even begin to imagine. What's absolutely mind-blowing, though, is how they got these new colors. In primates, like us, our kind of color vision probably evolved once, a single lucky break. But in jumping spiders, the ability to see red, which is a huge advantage, has popped up independently at least 12 different times. And they didn't just use the same blueprint every time. Some of them did it the way our ancestors did. They copied a gene and then let it mutate to see a new color. But others came up with a totally different ingenious hack. They just put a tiny red filter, like a little piece of cellophane, over some of their existing green sensors. It's a stunningly clever evolutionary shortcut. But this incredible variety, this constant reinvention, led scientists to a really baffling mystery. A mystery that revolves around the dangerous game of spider romance and a color that just shouldn't be there. Okay, so get this. There's this one species, the Mexigonous spider. The males have these flashy, vibrant red markings that they show off in their little courtship dances. Now, you'd assume they evolved this to impress the ladies, right? Well, here's the problem. Scientists looked at the female's eyes, and guess what? They have no red sensors, 0. They literally cannot tell the difference between red and green. So why are the males putting on this big, colorful show? The answer to this puzzle is hidden in a flaw, a basic flaw of optics that you might have noticed in a cheap camera lens. It's called chromatic aberration. All it means is that a simple lens can't focus all colors of light to the exact same spot. Blue light bends a lot and focuses close, while red light barely bends at all and focuses much farther away. And that little flaw, that's the whole key. Because for these spiders, it turns out red might not be a color at all. It's an illusion of depth. And once you grasp that, it just changes everything. It shows us that color in nature isn't just about making things look pretty. It can be a weapon, a tool for hacking perception itself. All right, let's break down how this crazy illusion works. Those big telescope eyes we talked about, their retinas are stacked in layers, like pancakes. The spider's brain compares how blurry an image is on two different green-sensitive layers to figure out exactly how far away something is. But remember chromatic aberration? Red light tries to focus way behind the retina. This creates a massive blur, a huge error signal that the spider's brain interprets as, whoa, danger, that thing is right on top of me. Which, of course, leads to the next big question. In the middle of a courtship ritual, why on earth would a male spider want to make himself seem dangerously close to a much larger, very aggressive, and possibly hungry female? Well, it's all about survival. If that red patch makes the female think he's closer than he is, she might lunge too early. She'll misjudge her attack, and that split-second mistake could be all the time the male needs to mate and get away. It's even possible that some prey animals use the very same trick, a red spot that makes the hunting spider misjudge its pounce. This brings us all the way back to our original debate, Aristotle or Galileo. Is color in the object or in the mind? This researcher's quote, I think, gives us the best answer. It's neither, and it's both. Color isn't just a property of a thing, and it isn't just a figment of the mind. It's something that is born out of this epic, evolutionary dance between the world and the creatures looking at it. And that incredible idea leaves us with one final and kinda haunting thought. The jumping spider reveals a world where red isn't a color, but a feeling of closeness. It's a dimension that we can't experience. And it really makes you wonder, every time a species goes extinct, are we just losing another animal? Or are we losing an entire unique universe of perception? Forever.